Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to see a very simple use of the WordPress REST API. So here we have a simple WordPress site. It's empty, nothing special. So if we go to this page, we can see info about the REST API. This is the REST API handbook about WordPress. And here you have all the information. I'm not going to explain what is a REST API. You have a lot of videos in YouTube. So I'm just going to say it's an easy way to interact in this occasion with WordPress. Okay, so WordPress has different kind of references or endpoints. So here you can see the list of endpoints that the WordPress REST API has. So you have the post revision, categories, tags, pages, and you also have the users endpoint. So in this case, we are going to work with the users endpoint. So if we go to these users, we can see that we have the schema, that is the info that we can handle with this API. And if we go back down, we have the list users endpoint. Okay, so in this endpoint, it's just WordPress version 2 of the API and users. So an example request could be get the website WP JSON WP version 2 users. So if we do this, it's going to retrieve, it's going to give us all the users of this WordPress site. So we are going to test it. We are going to test this functionality. We are going to take this endpoint. Okay, we are going to go to our website and we are going to put it here, enter, and here we have ID number 1, name admin, and all the data of this user. In this case, we just have one user, so it's just showing one of it. If we click here in pretty, we can see all the data. If we had more users, we will show here, or we will see here all the users. So having that in mind, what we are going to do is just an example of how it can work. So here I have the code. So here we have do a get call to this URL, the home URL, and the same endpoint, get the body of the JSON that is going to give back the REST API, and just show them. So if we go to the site, we reload, and here we have the same information, ID1, the name, and all the information that we just show with the API. So with this information that we have here, what we can do is get the data of this user. So imagine that we want to show here a list of users. So with this information, maybe what we can do is do a for each users as user. So here we have the username. We can reload, and here we have the username of this user. So we have there the admin. So if we want to list all the users' names, we can do this. It's important to note that we are using here just the WordPress endpoint. That's why we have here WordPress, but we are going to create our own endpoint. So for that, if we go to the handbook, we can see here an extending the REST API, adding custom endpoints, and they say, okay, we are going to do an example, and we are going to get the latest post title by an author. In this case, in our example, we are going to use users, no authors, and we are going to use user email, for example, or username, and not the post title. Okay, but the example, it's the same. So for this, we need to create our endpoint. For that, we need to use this function. We are going to come here, and here I have a WordPress plugin. You can see here in plugins, REST-API.php, very easy and simple plugin. And we are going to paste here this code. Here is doing add an action to the REST API init. And we are going to use this function, WordPress function, that is register REST route. In this case, it says my plugin. We are going to put REST API. Here will be your name, okay, the plugin name. Our plugin is going to be version 1 or API. So here you see WordPress, REST API, version 2, version 1. And then here we have users, and here we are going to use user, and we are going to add a variable that is going to be the ID. Okay, so we can retrieve one user by an ID. And here we can put get user by ID, that is going to be the function. So we can do a function get user by ID. So we are going to put here the data. So with this function, what we are going to do is get user by ID, okay, with the data. And here we have the user, get user by the ID, and we are going to take the ID from the data. It's here the ID. And here we have return user. So once this is done, what we are going to do is go to this endpoint. So we are going to come to our site, and here we are going to put WP-JSON REST API, that is our plugin, version 1, and user, and we're going to put the user number 1, that is the ID of this user. If we do this, we can see here that we have ID 1, user login is the admin, the user pass, and we have all the info of this user. Okay, here we have all the info of this user. So this is working fine. That way we can go here, we can update it, REST API, version 1, user 1. Here we can update this information. In this case, it's not a for each, it's just a simple user. Okay, we go to the site, we go to the main page. So here now we have this error with the name, it's undefined because with our endpoint and this function that we are using, we don't have that info. So here we have to put data, and here we can put the user login. If we reload, now here we have the admin. We can also change this and say user email, and here we have it. If you change this and you put the second one, then you can see that it doesn't exist. So we should change this and make it like, okay, there is no user found, okay? Or maybe here we should return user not found, okay? So this way it's very easy to work with an endpoint. We have created our own endpoint, that it's this one, but we created one for users that maybe the REST API of WordPress already has a user endpoint. If we go to the API, here we have list users, create user, and retrieve a user. So here we can see users ID. That is the same as we did here, but in this case, not users, we did user. So this is our endpoint. But we are going to do something different. Here you can put, for example, sum, and here in get sum, you can say, for example, sum 1 plus 2 and return the sum. This is just for you to see that you can do whatever kind of function, you can do whatever you want. This is just an example. So here in the endpoint, we are going to go just to the sum, okay? And we are going to change this by sum. So now we are going to go to our website, we are going to reload, and here we have a 3. Okay, it's this 1 plus 2. Of course, you can do more variables, you can do the same as we did with the ID, but it's not going to be the ID, it's going to be the number to sum, whatever you want. It's just for you to see how easy it is to create an endpoint. This is the plugin, let's say, API, and here we have the endpoint. Here we have sum, we can put delete post, whatever you want to do, you will create this delete post, and here you can create a function to delete the post. Okay, just for you to see that it's very easy to work with the WordPress REST API. You can create whatever you want. In this video, we saw a very simple example, just a get. You can use also the post method, or you can use also the delete method, whatever you want. We just use it this one. Also, it's probable that you are going to say me, okay, but in the example of the user, okay, let's go back to the user. In the example of the user, the thing is that this function is a WordPress function, so I could use that function directly here, okay, in this example that we did here. I could use that example, that function. Of course, the thing is that in this case, if you do it in the theme, okay, you cannot use that function externally. But if you do it with the REST API, the thing is that if you are working with Make or with Zapier or any other kind of external tool, you can go or point to this endpoint and work with it. So it's just for you to know that you can use WordPress functions inside the plugin, but you can use external way of working with the theme or with your plugin. So I hope you like it. If so, like it, leave a comment or whatever, and we see you in the next video.